Hello, my name is Nicholas Watkins. I'm a part of Professor Seagrave's real estate class, and we first did a project regarding opening a brokerage. And this is the upper level division course, and so there was a lot of work that was put into this first part, and that included stuff like rental space, the prices of houses in the market in Tennessee, the budget breakdown of how much income that we can accumulate, as well as um, various levels of expenses that we'll have to face. And we had to do a couple resources and references through this just to kind of find out what would be like a decent salary and decent numbers for this. So our income is really important in this project. This consisted of, for us, in number of agents, houses sold, monthly rent price. This was found through like how much do we want our employees that work as agents to give us as the brokerage for stuff like offices and office materials and that kind of thing. Again, we decided with a 50% brokerage split, and through that we came up with a total brokerage income accumulated. So again, we had some salaried employees and a few different things that were expenses along the way, and our total expenses throughout the year came out to be $272,000. Um, and this was just a number that will be used in this budget over the course of 3 years. So what we were tasked with in the second part of this project was to come up with incomes for not just year one, but also year two and year three. So with my last name being Watkins, the problem that we faced was instead of growth um, throughout the market, we actually faced kind of just the regression of the market. This is something that can really happen in a business and happen quick. So some things that we faced with this was first we looked at our year one numbers and we just pulled these straight from our budget breakdown. After that, our first year, or after our first year, our year two income actually got depleted by 20%. So the market regressed, it crashed, and we got back 20% off of our total income. So something that we kind of went in, and this was one of the assumptions that was made at Watkins Brokerage, was with this regression, our company kind of got fearful. And so with that, what we did was actually we went back, as you can see in the budget breakdown. Number of agents is a big part of how much income was made throughout the year. And we got kind of scared. We started out here in December, we had 4 agents, and we got fearful. So after that crash hit, we had to go back down to where we were just having 1 agent. Again, we had a 20% decrease in the housing market. So we times our income from year one and we times that by zero point 0.8. So this was just to say that we got 80% of the income from in year two that we got from year one. Again, that definitely showed in our total from 895,000, and now we ended up with 716,000. So following that, the same thing happens. We get back up, we start hiring more agents, and at the end of the year, again, another market crash hits, and that makes us fearful. So again, we go back down to our 1 agent, and from here, we're looking at hopefully we're going to gain some traction. We're going to kind of hope that market crash ends so we can keep our average of 4 agents working for us. And so we start here and we get all the way back up to 4 agents. And again, you can see from the year one total all the way to year three total, we dropped off 30% of our total income. Again, looking at the expenses in year one, we were fearful. And so again, we dropped our agents down, but through our expenses, we assumed that our expenses would level out at that amount because that included salaries, that included expenses that we'd face, and we were hoping that that was just a set guideline that we could have, that this would be our expenses each year. Again, it's a higher number, but it accumulated a lot of different things, whether it was salaries or office supplies or anything of that nature. So when we look at that, all we had to do to get our profits was just get our totals and subtract that total expenses in year one. So again, you can see the variance in it. From year one, we made about 623,000, and then in year three, we dropped all the way down to 372,000. So this is something we're really fearful of, is how much is the market going to continue to crash? Because again, right now we're only making 372,000, which as a brokerage isn't necessarily a bad thing. That's still a lot of money. And again, you can see um, the total throughout all 3 years of profit is still almost $1.5 million. That's a great profit. But again, kind of with our hesitancy here, um, what happens if another 20% gets taken off of our income after that, and we have to deal with that? as even smaller of a number. So now we might be down to 300,000 or even in the 200,000s in a profit that's taken. So altogether, there's just a few things to consider. So how did the business do overall? So when we look at the business and we look at how much income we made, we did a great job. We made $1.4 million. That's great over a 3-year period. Again, these numbers could be skewed some. Um, we could look here and say, okay, well, maybe instead of dropping off those agents, we just kind of held firm. So we made more this year. And so that increased our overall profit. Or you could look at it other ways and just kind of figure, well, these numbers are going down. What if the housing market crashes again, as we previously mentioned? What happens if that happens and now we make even less and our profit keeps going down? Or we have a year where we don't make any money and we actually make a net negative. Some things like that can be kind of scary, but altogether in this 3-year period, we're looking at a pretty successful business. Some of the assumptions we made, again, were that our agents would have to drop off. We were fearful, and so we made that assumption straight out. Um, what's something that we would kind of do differently? So this is a big part of the project that I kind of took some time to think on. And one thing that we could do differently is our rental space. So as mentioned on LoopNet, this was a 1,250 square foot building that we're in, and it's in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. But some things that we want to do differently. Okay. First off, we'd probably want a bigger office. Again, if we're making profits of almost $900,000, we need a bigger office because if we can continue to up our agents, up our sales, and kind of get our brand awareness and our name out there, then we can really start to make a profit and we can really continue to grow our business. And even some of the competition factors that we'll talk about in a little while, we can really outbeat those competition factors and hopefully be in Murfreesboro a name that's kind of known and is kind of the go-to. So um, what's a place that where would we be located? And so with us getting a new location, again, we're trying to find somewhere that, as described in the last few chapters we've been learning from, we're looking for somewhere like a highway, a shopping center, and really all we're doing this for is to kind of find a way to increase our foot traffic and a way for people to know about us. If we're located in a shopping center, people will drive past us or walk past us, and they'll realize, okay, if I ever need real estate, this might be a place that I can go shopping at, and a place that I can go look towards. Um, again, just the more people that see our business and come and have that familiarity with our business, the better off we're going to be. So that's really important. And in Murfreesboro, as mentioned, there's going to be some competition, and we're going to kind of talk about that here. So, what are our concerns? And a big one of those is competition. I mean, that's a huge one. How are we going to fight off competition when we're a new business? Um, and that comes with our hiring process too. I mean, who do we hire? Because how are we going to compete against other brands or other real estate firms or brokerage firms rather if we can't hire the best people because we don't have a name? It's a little riskier to kind of join our company. So, how are we going to go about that? So, with people that we're looking to hire, we're trying to find people that are professionals. We're trying to find people that have been in the business for years and some that even have a name for themselves as a real estate agent. Again, that's going to be hard because we're a new brokerage, and that's going to be a tough kind of thing to kind of beat out. Is some of these companies and brokerages, they have a name for themselves, and so people that are secure in a job, why would they come join us? And so that's going to be something that we have to face is how can we get people to come join our business whenever we don't have a name for ourselves? So again, if we can have totals like year one and we can grow our business this much in year one, then I think we'll have people that will come towards us. And that's a great thing because what we're looking to do is hire agents, whether it's one, two, three, or four, and we're trying to create unison within our group. So we're all trying to sell the same way, maybe have different methods, but we're still trying to sell similar products in a similar fashion. And if we can get one or two of those really high professional level employees and agents, then those employees can train our other agents to kind of follow suit with them to create that unison and kind of build them up just for a job in the future and the continued growth that they can have, which will increase our overall income too. So again, back to concerns. Um, we have to fight off our competition. In Murfreesboro, there's going to be a competitive market with competition. I mentioned this in the writing. I live in Manchester, In Manchester, there's known of a few different firms, but it's so small that what we're looking for is somewhere like Murfreesboro that is going to have competition, but can also come with an increase in income. It's risky, and we kind of just have to look at that risk-adjusted return and kind of find out, what we're looking for and how can we outbeat the competition. So I think one last thing that we're looking at is what's our focus overall? How are we looking to sell? What are we looking to sell? And I think what's important for Watkins Brokerage is that we kind of find long-term stability. Um, in the world we live in today, it's so technology driven, and there's nothing that's inherently wrong with that. Um, but at the same time, we have to find a way to advertise our product. And I think that our big key to our success is found in our budget breakdown, and that's through our marketing specialist. So this could be a position that's one person or two people, whatever it takes, because really I think that the way that the world is moving is through a scope of technology. How can I show a house online? And this was really prominent in COVID. Um, in one of the previous courses I've taken with Professor Seagraves, um, in 2020 was kind of a time where it was kind of a tough business. And so through that came up with the idea of virtual showings. And I think virtual showings are a way that we can get our foot in the door with some of our customers. And through that can kind of create our brand and grow our brand and overall just make a successful business. And that's really what we're looking to do. Again, we need people that are also um, people people persons. We need people that will go out and will talk to people about real estate and purchasing real estate. But someone like our marketing specialist is key to us because they'll give us our ads and they'll get our name out there. They'll increase our brand revenue or our brand awareness rather. And this is, as said, with a few other things. That's really important because if our brand awareness is out there and our location is known and people know us, then we have a chance at a successful business. One last thing that I want to mention is there's some fear with kind of our revenue model here. These are forecast, and you might look at it as the best way. Okay, so right here it says we're going to make $895,000, um, and that would be great. But as a startup, that's tough. And so this is kind of just a rough hope of what we're looking for. But again, what happens if instead of year two or year three that market crash hits? What happens if it happens in year one? And we're faced with that chance, and instead of having three agents and 10 sales of houses, what if we have one agent and we only get three sales of houses? So again, this revenue model can kind of go to show that with these projections, it's going to be a successful business. And that's great. But there are struggles with that too, with what happens on the other side if this isn't available and we don't make these profits because of a market crash. And I think that's something to look at is kind of the fear of really what 2025 and before has done throughout COVID with a market being so high. Um, and that could be a problem that we look at too. But altogether, we might adjust some of these numbers just because of our concerns, and we might try to find what's still an available profit, kind of a break even point, but still have just a little bit of profit. But altogether, these were just kind of some concerns that we had, but also kind of just a way to say that through the numbers that we performed, our business was very successful.